administration has spent the past year trying to slow the country's renewable energy industry. NPR's Michael Copley reports on how that may impact businesses and consumers.
Power-hungry data centers are popping up around the country, fueling a surge in electricity demand unlike anything the U.S. has seen in decades. That makes it a bad time for the Trump administration to try to sideline renewables projects, which can be built quickly. That's according to Pavan Venkatakrishnan, a policy advisor at the Foundation for American Innovation, a research group.
They may not love renewable technologies, but they're going to need them to meet the data center demand, but also maintain energy affordability for all consumers.
A White House spokesperson told NPR that renewables drive up power prices and that President Trump is trying to boost natural gas, coal, and nuclear power instead. But Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory recently found wind and solar projects on their own don't generally raise electricity prices. Helen Koh says instead of debating the best energy sources,
there should be more of a focus on just getting things built.
Koh runs the power markets research team at Bloomberg NEF.
Power supply is already a limiting factor for data center development.
For now, renewables are still booming, but the Trump administration's attacks threaten to weaken the industry ahead of an expected slowdown because power companies are investing more in natural gas. Koh says gas plants still look like the best bet for guaranteed power.
Because data centers run around the clock, it likely needs some type of firm capacity, which gas is still the most viable option.
It's unclear how much families and businesses will have to pay to meet that growing demand. The consulting firm ICF estimates residential retail power prices will increase between 15 and 40% by 2030. Alex Trembath says underinvestment in the grid itself leaves communities susceptible to rising electricity prices. Trembath is deputy director of the Breakthrough Institute, a research group.
That constrains the ability to get electrons around, to get electrons from where they're being generated to where they're needed.
The rush for electricity could also worsen climate change. Natural gas is cleaner than coal, but still creates climate pollution, so burning more gas could fuel more warming. On the other hand, Trembath says rising demand may pave the way for technologies like nuclear and geothermal that could cut emissions down the road.
Not over the next 5 years, but over the next 50 years.
The UN recently warned the world's already on track for more extreme climate impacts. Michael Copley, NPR News.
This message comes from Carvana. Finance and buy your next vehicle with Carvana. Shop a huge selection, customized terms.
You're listening to State of the World from NPR. We bring you the day's most vital international stories up close where they're happening. I'm Greg Dixon. As we say goodbye to 2025, our international reporters are looking back at some of the stories they covered in the last year. Joanna Kakissis is NPR's Ukraine correspondent, and she joins me from Kyiv. Joanna, what is your most memorable story of the last year?
So, Greg, my most memorable story may seem like a small story compared to what I've been covering this year, because most of the year I've been spending my time, all of my time actually, covering politics, the politics of peace negotiations, covering what's happening on the battlefield, news report after news report after news report. And I haven't had time to do features, like spending time with Ukrainians at length and figuring out how the war has affected them. I love doing these stories. These are the stories that keep me going. So the story is actually about a youth orchestra in a town outside Kyiv, and they've written a very special composition.
Tell me about that and tell me how you found these guys.
So I saw this clip. Actually, to be fair, my producer saw this clip first on social media. She forwarded it to me, and it showed a group of musicians, all very young, playing what sounded like the sound of a Shahed, like this distinctive buzzing of a Shahed drone, and they were recreating it on their instruments. And a Shahed drone is this Iranian-designed attack drone. Often it has warheads on it, and these drones hit Ukrainian cities almost every night. So we tracked down the orchestra, which is called Harmonia, and indeed the musicians were really young. They're in middle school. They're like 13, 14 years old. The youngest one's like 10 years old. And we spoke to the orchestra conductor, and he said, this is part of a larger composition called Shahed Overture, and it describes what the students hear at night, what the sound of wartime nights in Ukraine sound like.
Fascinating. Well, let's listen to your report from October 2025 about this youth orchestra.
On most nights, 14-year-old Rostislav Musienko hears something like this buzzing over his house. An Iranian-designed drone called the Shahed It looks like a small plane and often carries a warhead. Rostislav says, when it picks up speed, I hide because I'm scared. He knows this sound so well. He plays it on his trombone at orchestra practice. Joining the other musicians, most are middle schoolers from the town of Kivshovata outside Kyiv. They are playing a composition about Ukraine's Nights of War. It's called Shahed Overture. The young musicians are writing it with local guitar teacher Dmytro Kornienko. We used to play jazz and funk songs, Kornienko says. This composition reflects the horror that we now live in. The orchestra is called Harmonia. They rehearse on a small, brightly lit stage. The conductor, Serhiy Neduji, straps on a bass drum, then hums a tune to the lead violinist, his 14-year-old daughter, Anna Neduzha. Who starts the piece by evoking a calm night. It's pleasant and peaceful, Anna says, an ordinary day in an ordinary city, until a terrible reality intrudes. Her dad, the conductor, continues. We hear air raid sirens, then a Shahed drone flying, then anti-aircraft guns. The conductor pounds on his bass drum. Explosions. The drone is shot down. Its wreckage falls on the city. Then, he says, you hear the sirens of an ambulance and firefighters. And rescue workers digging in the rubble, hearing a baby cry.
Бас-барабан відтворює серцебиття.
The drumming, he says, is a heartbeat. It starts quietly at first and then grows stronger and stronger. The heart beats louder, a sign of life. The young Ukrainians in this orchestra are survivors. Russian strikes blow out their windows at home and force them into bunkers at school. Nearly every week, they play at the funerals of local soldiers. Ruslana Halazyuk, a 20-year-old drummer, struggles to describe the experience. You just stand there, she says, and you just cannot hold back your tears. There is no ending yet for this war or for Shahed Overture, which the musicians are still writing. So today, they linger on a hopeful note.
That was NPR's Joanna Kikissis reporting in October 2025. That's the state of the world from NPR. You listen because you value hearing a human perspective on global stories.